The courtroom sat in absolute silence, the air thick with tension as a 3-year-old girl, clutching a faded blanket tightly to her chest, took the witness stand, her tiny legs swinging above the floor and her wide eyes fixed downward, refusing to meet the gaze of anyone in the room. Lawyers whispered anxiously, the judge watched with patient concern, and everyone knew that her words could shift the entire case. But when she finally lifted her head, looked straight at the police dog sitting faithfully nearby, and spoke 5 unexpected words, the entire courtroom froze in stunned disbelief as what happened next left every single person in awe. The gallery was packed, yet not a single person spoke, as if the smallest sound might shatter the fragile calm hanging in the air. Even the jurors leaned forward, breath caught in their throats, waiting for the moment to unfold. Then the side doors opened and a large German shepherd entered, his black and tan coat shining beneath the courtroom lights, the steady rhythm of his paws echoing against the floor as all eyes turned to him, realizing his arrival was no ordinary event. For the first time, the little girl lifted her gaze, watching as the dog, wearing a vest marked Police K9, Comfort and Detection, moved with quiet confidence. His sharp eyes sweeping the room not with aggression but with a calm authority that demanded respect, and in an instant the soft murmurs of the gallery vanished into complete silence as he approached the small witness stand. Even the judge leaned forward, curiosity etched across his face, as the little girl clutched her blanket tighter and the K9 stopped before her, tilting his head with warm brown eyes softening in quiet reassurance. His gentle huff breaking the stillness. Slowly, he lifted his paws onto the stand, bringing himself closer to her level until the trembling in her small frame eased for the first time all morning. And when the officer knelt beside him and introduced him softly as Rex, saying he was there to help her feel safe, the gallery watched in awe as the dog lay protectively at her feet, his head resting against her shoes, calming her in an instant, her shoulders relaxing as if a heavy burden had lifted. And when she whispered, "He's my friend now," her voice timid but steadying, even the judge strained to hear, for the room itself seemed to shift. Every breath held as she confessed that she had been scared until Rex came to her and made her feel less alone. And when the shepherd gave a soft whine that seemed almost understanding, her courage bloomed, enough to let her small voice begin weaving the truth of that terrible night. The loud voices, the fear under her bed, the paralysis of terror broken only now by Rex's nudge against her leg and the fragile but brave smile it inspired, until at last she declared she wasn't scared anymore, and the gallery gasped at the raw courage in her words. A child who had known only fear moments ago now stroking the dog's ear with fingers that found strength in his calm presence, and as silence tightened around the room like a held breath, the prosecutor's gentle question, "What did she remember seeing that night?" hung heavy until she pulled her blanket close, glanced at the towering adults, then looked into Rex's loyal eyes and whispered, steady now with determination, "I saw him," pointing straight at the man sitting at the defense table as the entire courtroom inhaled sharply, the weight of her words pressing against every soul present. Rex let out a soft, approving bark, almost as if he understood the weight of her words, and the little girl, no longer trembling, pressed forward with a voice steadier than before as she recalled how he had yelled, how she had been terrified, and then how he had hurt her mommy, the admission rippling through the courtroom like a shockwave that left every face stunned, even the judge wiping away a tear while the defense attorney shifted uneasily in his seat. And in that charged silence it became clear this was not just a trial but a story of innocence, courage, and the unspoken bond between a child and a dog who had given her voice back. For as the defense tried to discredit her testimony and she shrank momentarily into her chair, Rex rose to place his head in her lap, his warm eyes steadying her spirit until she buried her hand in his fur and straightened again, declaring with a firm voice that rang through the hushed room, "I'm not lying." And the jury, exchanging softened glances, understood they were witnessing truth in its purest form, truth that no evidence or legal argument could outweigh. And by the time the little girl finished recounting her story, the atmosphere had shifted completely, the once fragile child transformed into a beacon of bravery with Rex at her side. The judge himself pausing to gather composure as every soul in the room recognized they were in the presence of a moment that would not be forgotten, a moment where justice found its voice through the unwavering courage of a child and the loyalty of a dog. The room was filled with quiet sniffles and watery eyes as Rex stayed firmly by the little girl's side, calm and unshaken, his protective presence undeniable, and in that moment, Every person in the courtroom understood this was no ordinary service dog but a true hero who had given a terrified child the courage to speak against the darkness, and as the judge prepared his final statement, the air grew thick with anticipation, the only sounds being the faint rustle of papers and the steady breathing of the loyal K9 resting at her feet. And when the judge finally spoke, his voice carried both authority and compassion as he acknowledged the bravery of the 3-year-old and the extraordinary role Rex had played, pausing as if to steady his own emotions before saying that sometimes justice requires not only law, but also courage, loyalty, and love. And with that, his verdict brought closure to a case that had gripped everyone in the room, the child's mother rushing to scoop her into her arms, tears streaming as Rex wagged his tail softly, sensing the wave of relief and joy surrounding him, while even the toughest officers wiped their eyes at the sight of hope replacing fear. And as the courtroom emptied, the little girl knelt beside Rex, whispering words meant only for him, to which he responded with a gentle nuzzle, as though promising eternal protection. And everyone who witnessed that sacred moment left with hearts forever changed, reminded of the silent, unshakable heroism of a dog's love.